Hello, this is the Shoddy Strawman, and today we're going to be talking about the beautiful little eaglet himself, Rufflet, and why America is fantastic. Alright, in all seriousness, no, this is terribly broken as a mod. I don't know why it's still in tier. Please remove this mod. Alright, so to get into the nitty gritty, before I do, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. So, what makes Rufflet so busted? Alright, so first let's look at the stats. HP is 70. This is really compared to a lot of other mons in the tier. Like Toadstool only gets up to 40. Yeah, Toadstool's 40. And then if we look at Pawniard, Pawn's only 45. And then we have Giraffe Rig also has 70. The point is, it's a lot of HP, and that means that despite the fact that it's not having an Eviolite, it's actually kind of bulky. Its attack stats really good, gets it up to 18. Its defense and special defense are pretty serviceable. 50 in the defenses are really good. 60 speed allows it to get up to 16. And then with the Choice Scarf, you get up to 24. But what makes this, like, alright, that's kind of a good stat spread, so what makes it good and not, like, why is it broken instead of just being good? That's because it's got Hustle. So this Pokemon's attack is 1.5 times, and the accuracy of his physical attacks are 0.8 times. So, normally that would be an issue, because that means that you can always miss your attacks at sometimes, and that's not good. But Rufflet has access to Aerial Ace, and the move doesn't check accuracy, so you just get a free Choice Spin on your Aerial Ace. Hooray! You also have Brave Bird to hit like an absolute truck. Try taking this one, especially when it also Terra types into flying, to make it even stronger. Hooray! You have Close Combat to deal with Rock and Steel types that would normally be able to, like, resist your flying type moves. So that's great. And then it's like, oh, well, there's something that resists both Aerial Ace and Close Combat. Well, I have the solution for you. You just U-turn out of combat, and then you just go to something else, like a Diglett in the back. And then your opponent loses their one check. Hooray! It is very strong and very fast. Now, flying typing is hampered by the fact that you're weak to rocks. But that's not too much of an issue, because like if you're using Aerial Ace, you don't switch out all that often. Close Combat means that because you're lowering your defenses, unless your opponent has a Sucker Punch user like a Pawniard, you don't really need to switch out all that much. Like, you switch out if you can't beat over the opposing Pokemon, but you don't really need to switch out in order to reset your stats, unless your opponent goes for a Revenge Kill. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that if we go to Generation 7, you could use Rufflet there, and it had Superpower, and that would lower your attack by one stage. So that meant that you could Superpower once, and then you negate your Hustle boost, and then you just have a less accurate fighting move, and it's kind of bad. And since your defense is still down, that means that you can still use a Pawn Sucker Punch, or anything like that, in order to be able to attack into this. So that wasn't good. But then in Generation 8, it got banned because of Close Combat. Wow! Ain't that crazy? Alright, well, maybe I'm just over-exaggerating the problem with it. Oh, well, you know, it's fine. I mean, it's only going to be Choice Scarf set. That shouldn't be too much of an issue. Turns out you have a bulk up set. Because of course you do. You have Aerial Ace, Terra Blast, Ground, so that way you can get over your Steel types and Rock types while not being weak to them. And also, the one other thing that resists your flying types is Electric type moves. So you just blight them entirely. Hooray! You also have Bulk Up to raise your attack and defense to make your Hustle even stronger. You don't even need Brave Bird on the set, so Hustle just gives you a free Choice Band. Terra Blast, I mean, like, the Ground type's really good, and then also the Hustle boost, because if you are Terrastalized, and if your attack is larger than your special attack, then it becomes a physical type move. So there you go. And you also have Roost for recovery, so you get a boost up, boost up, boost up, and also because of your really good bulk, you have enough special defense to live a few hits. You just keep boosting, 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 and then you break through things, and they can't break through you. Hooray! Oh, but you know, that should be pretty manageable. I mean, it's only got 16 speed. It can't go too fast. It gets agility. So you can just forego having Aerial Ace, run Terra Blast, Agility, Bulk Up, Roost, and then do the exact same thing, except now you have agility in order to beat over the opposing team. Hooray! Oh, we're going to see also a really cracked set from... We have Team Bio 2, which is a team tour for the Italian room. And there's a little cup replay, and it's pretty crazy because Taz has some really interesting stuff going on with his. and we'll get to why that is in a second. But first, what are all the things that actually resist your stab move, and then what else it can deal with close combat? Bonsly. It can't because A, you get U-turned on, and B, you're a momentum sink because you're a terrible speed stat. Oh lordy. Glimmet. It's actually pretty alright, but it's not... You don't really want to use this as your defensive check to Rufflet. When what you kind of want to use Glimmet as, you can do Rock Polish set in order to be a sweeper, but because of its ability Toxic Debris setting up Toxic Spikes, you typically run this as a lead and then have Stealth Rock, Spikes, and then you can do like Sludge Bomb. You can also use Power Gem if you want, but it's not meant to really be a wall. It's meant to set up hazards and not much else. So using it defensively is kind of awkward. Knackley. This Pokemon's cool because Purifying Salt means it doesn't get status. So that's cool. And it's got pretty decent bulk, 75 defense, but its main issue is it's really slow. It's not as slow as Bonsly, but 13 max speed's bad. Your special defense is kind of lacking, but HP plus defense means that you're a pretty good physical wall. If Rufflet gets banned, and then like we see like some meta shifts, this might come to prominence, but probably not. It's just like, I really want it to be good because it's got rocks. It's got Stone Edge, Earthquake. I'm not sure why this can do Earthquake, but all right. Then it's got Stealth Rocks and Recover. Yep. So you can actually use it as a pretty effective physical wall. Hopefully. We have Larvitar. It's not really known for its defensive utility, and its speed's bad, so you're not outspeeding the opposing Rufflet anyway, unless you put a Choice Scarf on this. And most of these Mons you really don't want to have a Choice Scarf on. Rockruff, you don't get a Stellar Rock yet, so the one possible thing you want to use it for to bop with a really strong, well, I mean, somewhat strong, you get a good attack stat. And then at max FVs you get 15. So, I mean, 16, excuse me. So, I mean, like, that's really good. And then if you could bop, and like, if that was a thing that Rockruff could do, then it'd actually be pretty interesting at Revenge Killer, because you can use Acceler Rock, but you can't. So, unfortunately, Rockruff, you can't really use it too much. Its speed stat's actually pretty decent, so you tie with it, but it's not worth it without Acceler Rock. Especially because even if you do put a Choice Scarf on this, it becomes a 50-50. And also, your opponent can just switch out into something that'll resist it, and that's not great. Roly-Coly, its stats are bad, and you don't really, like, you can't do too much with just pure rock typing. You get U-turned and close combated in all day. Bronzor, it has Recycle Oranberry, meaning that it can take a whole bunch of hits and then recycle it back because you've got good natural defenses in addition to a good type. That means that you have a neutrality to fighting and a resistance to flying. But then the main issue there is you're very passive. Your attack stat's 24. Your special attack's also 24. It's pretty abhorrent. Also, your speed stat's very lacking. Things can set up on this really easily. It doesn't have something like Haze. And then it doesn't even have Taunt to stop boosting moves. So it's a very big momentum sink that, although it's really good at dealing with Rufflet, it can't do anything else. Q-Fan. Its stats are pretty alright, but once again, let down by a bad speed stat. You can do some stuff with it, but you can't even really Choice Scarf this effectively, because although you have like Sheer Force Iron Head, and then you can do Sheer Force Rock Slide for Rufflet or something, you're just not fast enough. 21 speed ain't cutting it if the opposing Pokemon is also Scarf, and even then you just get rocked by close combat. Magnemite, your Choice Scarf set isn't fast enough, but you can attempt to use it for flying type moves, and it'd actually be pretty alright. It's very shaky. Like, it can take Aerial Ace and Brave Bird because it's a quadruple resist, and that's fine, and then you also threaten it with a Volt Switch, so that's good. But also it can tear into ground, and then you're stuck. And then also they can switch out into something like a Toad School and be able to take a hit pretty well. Or just blank your Volt Switch anyway, so. And if there's a Diglett and you get U-turned on, then you just die. So, hooray. Meowth Galar, way too slow. Its stats are kind of alright, but it needs speed. It doesn't have it. Pawniard. This was actually pretty alright. You have Sucker Punch so that after close combat drops the defense of Rufflet, then you can Revenge Kill it. You also have a pretty reasonable Choice Scarf set because you can take like an Aerial Ace because you resist it. And you're already pretty fast, so you can tie and your opponent has to predict around you, whereas you can kind of go for either sucker or just attack into the enemy team, and that's always nice. It's a bit rough because you're using Choice Scarf, you don't have the defensive utility, but you can make Choice Scarf Poniard work. Tink-a-Tink. This is actually really good because you resist flying, neutrality to fighting, and then you have Pickpocket, and then you typically run Oranberry because Berry Juice isn't available. And Pickpocket is, if this Pokemon has no item and is hit by a contact move, it steals the attacker's item. So that means if you take Rufflet hit, proc your Oranberry, gain some HP, you steal the Choice Scarf. So that's good. It means that it's no longer as threatening, but that does not mean that it's not threatening. It's just less threatening, so hooray. And also then your defensive... Tink-a-Tink is mainly used as utility because it's got knockoff, one of the few things that does get it. Uses Play Rough for Stab, and then you have Stealth Rock, and then Thunder Wave. And you don't really want to have a Mon that's locked into Thunder Wave or Stealth Rock. It's kind of yikes. Varoom, I want this to be good so badly, but it's way too easy for the opponent to just click U-turn on this and then just leave. You do have Parting Shot, so you can kind of leave as well, but it feels like such a momentum sink, and you can't do too much with it, even though it's actually got some pretty good physical bulk. Like, 16? That's more than I thought it was, actually. Yeah, you can take a hit or two pretty well, but then the main issue is that you're really slow. Get up to 15 with Positive Nature. And that's not awful, but it's not fantastic either. Oh, you can't even outspeed the bulk up set, and that's actually really bad. I mean, you can take hits from it, but then you also super die to Diglett because you have a quadruple ground weakness, so that's not good. Or Terra ground, so that's wonderful. Marie, once again, way too slow. It's got no moves, although the special attack's good, that's kind of it. That's where it stops. Pommy, it's awful stats. Pichu, once again, awful stats. Shinx, Intimidate is an option, but then you just give boost to Poniard because it runs Defiant. Because Sticky Webs are still around, so you want Defiant. Tadbulb, its stats are pretty bad. And, I mean, like, you got Sucker, but that's not really all that worth it. Now, you do have, like, some water coverage, so if it decides to go for Terra Ground, you can do some stuff there. But its speed stat isn't good enough. A lot of these Pokemon are basically unranked. Toxel resists both Aerial Ace and Close Combat, as well as U-Turn, but A, quadruple ground weakness, so you get trapped by Diglett, and then your move pool is basically non-existent. Hooray! Dynamo. This speaks for itself. You don't run it. Voltorb. It's actually pretty alright. It's got 50 defense, 40 HP. That's actually pretty good bulk. And then you can do stuff with static if you get that, but I mean, once again, your opponent can U-turn out, and then you die to Diglett. So, hooray. Does that mean that Diglett's broken? No, because Diglett's really frail and has lackluster defensive utility outside of its electric immunity. Rufflet can do a lot more because it has a ground immunity and can hit stupidly hard with Hustle. And although, like, you got some good moves in here, like Volt Switch, and then you can also, like, Terra type into Ice. That'd be cool in order to hit it. If it terastallizes and you're faster. And also, if it's the bulk upset, you can taunt it, but I would not recommend using Voltorb as a possible Rufflet counter, especially because you don't outspeed if it's Scarf. So that's that. Wattrel actually has a really good defensive typing versus it. Electric to resist flying, and then flying to resist fighting. So you can take those hits pretty well, but you have a Stealth Rock weakness, so you can't come in too often. Although you do have Roost, you're pretty frail. And although your speed tier is good, and you get outspeed, your opponent's probably gonna Terra, and unless you're running like Terra Ice or something, you can also like Terra Grass maybe, and then Terra Blast. Then you're gonna have a hard time making progress. And even then, do you really want to Terra your Wattrel? And then also it's a 50-50 if your opponent's running Bulk Up or Choice Scarf. So if it's Unrevealed Rufflet versus Wattrel, then it can just U-turn out, and you still have to deal with rocks, and then Roost isn't always the most... Well, Roost isn't bad, but you're spending a turn with this staying in, and then your opponent goes to Poniard to threaten it, Girafarig to outspeed, or something else to otherwise damage your watt roll, and that can be really bad. As for good walls, Marionette, you can take a hit because you have enough bulk, and also some pretty good HP, and you got recover for reliable recovery. And then you also have Regenerator to take, you get to take an Aerial Ace, and then your opponent just leaves, but you take it, or you're able to recover off the HP, so that way you can ease prediction. But then once again, you get U-turned on and killed by Diglett, so hooray! And then the final mon, this Shelter has the highest defense of any Little Cup mons that are currently available, and you use it as a Shell Smasher. It's not a wall. You aren't dealing with a Rufflet using a Shelter. Also, you don't resist any of the hits, so you can very easily be broken over. It's not worthwhile. So that's all of the mons that could possibly deal with it, and none of it do. But then also you're probably thinking like, oh well, you know, there's Girafarig. Why can't you just use Girafarig? Girafarig also has to deal with other stuff. It has to use Wish as recovery, and I mean you can do like Wish Protect, and that's pretty alright. But the main issue is that you have a bug weakness, so U-turn's gonna smack you hard. And secondly, you can still get trapped because you're not fast enough. So even Girafarig can't always handle the Freedom Fighter. Now, back to this replay. Now, knowing everything that you know there, you're gonna see a really interesting lead matchup, and that is Rufflet versus Rufflet. Oh, why not go Tinkatink? Well, Kither in this battle has Diglett, and Taz has Marionette. So well, you can't go Tinkatink or Marionette, and you just sort of have to lead with Rufflet and pray you win the speed tie. And I don't think I have to explain why this is unhealthy, because it's a coin flip. Hooray! And in case you're wondering, they are both Scarf. And then the stupid thing that happens is that, okay, so Tinkatink is barely able to hang on after that close combat, and then Tinkatink steals the Choice Scarf and sets up rocks to limit Rufflet for a later game. And then you can Aerial Ace, like, okay. And this has done so much progress to the opposing team already, because the one thing that could have checked it in Rufflet is gone, because it lost a speed tie. Tinkatink has a Choice Scarf, so you don't want to choice lock yourself into like a play ref or something. And then you get dunked on by Marionette. So there's that. And you also are locked into Stealth Rock because of the Choice Scarf when it got pickpocketed. So that's fun. Hope you enjoyed dealing with that. And then we have later on that Rufflet comes back in. And then Tinkatink's there, and it's like, oh, it should be fine. You know, it can't use agility. It uses agility on the Scarf set. And you... he says it's an import error, but I mean, you can use that, and it's still so dumb, because like, oh, don't worry, I can get rid of the Scarf set, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Nah, you can still run agility, and then you don't have to run Brave Bird, and you still did a lot of work with Aerial Ace Close Combat U-turn. Oh my lord, this is way too broken. If you want me to do a full analysis of the Little Cup games for Team Bio 2, I can do that. Just let me know down in the comments. And also, if you could, like, share, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless America.